The motherboard is now in the case, and with the motherboard in the case, I installed the CPU cooler, the graphics card, the power supply. It's right here. And I can see the cabling's all installed and plugged into the motherboard. You can see that there's blah, 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 blah. It was a bit of a struggle to get the board in the case. These two exhaust fans gave me trouble. They were interfering. And so the rear fan I had to move down slightly. And then the top fan I had to move completely because you can see the plastic covers here were bumping into them. Speaking of the fans, getting the CPU cooler fans was a struggle also. This time I had to remove this exhaust fan and to gain access to the fan header back here. So in hindsight, it probably wasn't a great idea to install the exhaust fans early on. Probably a better idea would have been wait until the motherboard was in. Or maybe it would have been a better idea to use 120 millimeter fans instead of the 140 millimeter fans. Who knows? Also, some of you may have noticed in the previous video that the CPU cooler mounting frame was slightly off kilter. And upon closer inspection, sure enough, I wasn't as careful as I should have been, so I reinstalled it. The graphics card, no problem, just popped right in. The CPU cooler, went in without a hitch. The one feature of this cooler is the bottom plate is offset, meaning that the tubes and fins stick out longer on one end. And that's actually a pretty smart design, as it gives you an option if you have interference issue, which way to mount it. I had to mount it with the shorter side up. Because the longer side was hitting this cover back here. The CPU fans went in straightforward, except for the aforementioned fan header. I didn't have to offset the fans, which means I was concerned I might have this up higher, not flush, because of the dim interference issues. But besides being one of the better quality memory modules, I also chose this brand and model for their low profile. And you can't really see it, but the memory modules are here, and you can see the fan sits right on top of them. So most of the DIMMs you see in the market have LED lighting on top, and that causes these to be of higher profile, taller, and which means you would have to move this fan up higher, and it wouldn't sit flush with all the fins. So, but these DIMMs don't have any lights on them, so no flashy light show. Cabling was mostly straightforward. The only cable I had problems with, like it's pointed out here, was the rear exhaust fan, and its cable was too short, so I had to use a Y splitter, a spare Y splitter I had, so it could reach the motherboard. I don't know which one it is. I think it's this one here. I will replace the splitter with a extended cable when I tidy up the cable routing. But for right now, the goal is to get this up to see if there are larger issues. Okay, I moved the camera in a little closer so give you a better view. Added some lighting. I know, I need to work on my lighting, but it is what it is. So you can see a little more clearly. Here's the cooling tower, CPU cooling tower. Here's the graphics card. Let me twirl this thing around, and here you can see when I was talking about the low profile memory modules that not interfering with the placement of the CPU cooling fan. As you can see, there's no LED lights on top, which is probably the main culprit why a lot of DIMMs are taller. But without LEDs, that means there is no light show. Oh well. And here's the back side. This is the frame I was talking about that I had not installed as carefully as I should have. But now, hopefully, I installed it correctly. Here's the back side. And back to the front. Or the side, excuse me. So, it's about ready to power on. Just need to give it a once over, make sure all the cables all correctly inserted. Touch the keyboard, the display, the mouse, power supply. Turn this thing on, see if it will post. Post means power on, self-test. Stay tuned.